That's Greg Jarrett, Fox News legal analyst and investigative reporter, Fox News contributor Sara Carter. It didn't matter who we picked. It was going to be the same thing.
Oh, it absolutely did. And for example, my favorite stupid quote comes from the ever obtuse and slow-witted Terry McAuliffe, former governor of Virginia, who was a Clinton lackey for decades. And he tweeted out that the nomination of Brett Kavanaugh will destroy the lives of, let me get the exact quote, here it is, will threaten the lives of millions of Americans for decades to come. In other words, according to McAuliffe, people will die. Look, when you say something or tweet something that profoundly stupid, you are only hurting your cause, the cause of the Democratic Party. And maybe there are some people out there who legitimately, might object to Kavanaugh, although he is eminently well qualified, head and shoulders above anybody else on the list of 25. But fine. But when you conjure up the boogeyman like this, that people are going to die, it threatens the lives of millions. You're just self-destructing, and that's the classic, Democratic theme now. You heard it from Chuck Schumer, you played a clip of it, and you're hearing it from the media, Jeff Toobin over at CNN, Andrea Mitchell at MSNBC. Mass hysteria, abortion will be outlawed throughout America. That is not what would happen. It would revert back to the states.
That's only if Roe were overturned.
That's correct.
It would go back. So in other words, would you agree with me? Probably 48 states would have abortion legal, maybe all 50.
I would say 45 at least, some with restrictions, others
like
without.
Parental notification, 3 months.
Sure. Some of the stuff that has actually been upheld under the Casey decision, Planned Parenthood versus Casey. So, and Democrats, if any of them have an ounce of intelligence, know they're lying to the American people, but they're assuming that Americans are so stupid that they'll buy into their lie.
What about, you're in Washington every day, Sarah, and you're in the halls of Congress every day, and I just really want to get your reaction on what you hear. We have gotten a little insight, Lisa Murkowski saying, well, there were some people on the president's list I would have had a difficult time supporting, but just based on what was publicly known about them, we're not dealing with that. And Susan Collins seemed to be okay. Rand Paul and Ted Cruz, I know they would have picked other people, but I can't imagine they would oppose the president on such an important decision with such a close margin in the Senate.
It doesn't appear that they will. And like you said earlier, Sean, there are going to be a lot of Democrats, who are hanging in the balance come the elections, and they're not going to want to, go against the voters, who are going to be watching them very carefully in some of these states that are so important, come November. I also think it's really disingenuous of the Democrats. It goes to show you, it's like children screaming and crying. They didn't get their way. They were going to be angry no matter who was picked, and it's disingenuous to the American people to put out these over-exaggerated lies. Of course, the selection of a Supreme Court justice is very important. I think what they're so frustrated about, so angry about, is that Kennedy, left that seat open and allowed the president to put someone in his place. They're very angry about that. This is just a reaction to that. They're just spewing out lies out of anger. And I think that, in the end, what they're most angry about, particularly the Democrats in this situation, is the fact that this is solidifying a legacy for President Donald Trump. This is part of that legacy that he will have. And who knows if other seats will become vacant in the future, and that would be even more extraordinary.
Let me go back to last night, and it didn't matter. It was basically, let's protest, fill in the blank. This is Podesta's Center for American Progress. It's giving me a headache. Do we really have to go back to hey, hey, ho, ho? I mean, it's so unoriginal.
High school cheerleading. That's the standard hi, ho, ho. Come on, man.
Oh, man. Elections have I don't understand. They really want a justice that'll legislate from the bench. Why would Congress want to usurp their power? Because they know they'll never get it done at the ballot box or legislatively?
Absolutely. And they love people like Stephen Breyer and Ruth Bader Ginsburg who do exactly that they view this Constitution as, Gumby. It is so flexible and elastic, you can stretch it and contort it and twist it any way you want it to do.
Do you know how you have just dated yourself?
I know. Gumby was my favorite character.
I bet you. It was sort of one of those claymation things. What was the one on Sundays about? It was a Christian one. David and Davy.
Oh, yeah. That was so great.
That was a good one. I watched that one. And I bet you Sarah Carter has no idea what we're talking about with Gumby.
She's too young.
I know Gumby. I didn't know what you were talking about on the other issue.
Yeah, Davy. Okay,
Davy. Remember Davy? Yeah.
Well, the bottom line here is I don't see, with all the noise, I don't see where they win. How do they win?
No, they
here?
don't.
And John McCain he seems ill, and I don't know if you count on his vote anyway.
No. Look, I think you were right when you pointed out that people like Manchin and Heitkamp and Donnelly and Tester and others are going to be under enormous pressure. These are Democrats in ultra-red states that Trump won by huge margins, and so they will be saying to themselves, shall I betray the idiots in my party and vote to help myself perpetuate my own power? Mm-hmm. And they'll always choose themselves because that's what Washington politicians do.
That's not what Dick Durbin is advising them to do.
Well, Durbin's the guy who smeared 12 years ago Brett Kavanaugh by calling him the Forrest Gump of Republican politics, which only, goes to prove just how dumb Dick Durbin is.
We'll take a break. Greg's book, by the way, out in 2 weeks. The Russia Hoax, The Illicit Scheme. And by the way, you want to get your copy as soon as possible to clear Hillary Clinton and frame Donald Trump. Amazon.com, Hannity.com. More with Sarah Carter and Greg on the other side. All right, as we continue on Sean Hannity's show, we got Alan Dershowitz at the bottom of this hour. We'll talk to him about the President's Supreme Court choice, criminalization of political differences. Why, Greg Jarrett, are they now putting off the sentencing of Michael Flynn yet again? And what about Manafort that's rotting 23 hours in solitary confinement, having been convicted of nothing, and the only charges really are about a 2005 tax case?
Well, the judge today in Virginia ordered that he be moved out of the location 100 miles away and into a jail in Alexandria, Virginia. So acceding to the request of Manafort's lawyers.
Why is he in jail at all?
He should never be in jail. It's outrageous. It's over the top. This was Amy Berman Jackson, the Washington, D.C. judge who issued that particular order, and she's being blatantly unfair. The allegation was he was tampering with witnesses. Well, even if he were, that's not grounds for putting a nonviolent individual suspected of a tax fraud case behind bars. You give him an ankle bracelet, confine him to his home, you take away his computers and his cell phone. It's as simple as that.
And you could actually turn off all cell service in a phone. We have the capability of doing that.
Oh, sure. You take all his devices away and you monitor people coming in and out. Yeah, you don't put him in solitary confinement in a jail.
What do you think's going on, Sarah Carter, as it relates to this case? What do you think it is?
Honestly, Sean, I mean, from the very beginning, I think they're trying to squeeze Manafort. They're trying to get
Judge
him.
Ellis, my friend, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, there's no doubt here that they're putting all the pressure they can. They looked for a very old case. They brought a case against him that has nothing to do with Russia collusion or anything connected to Russia and the campaign. They're squeezing him. They're making his life miserable. They're making his family's life miserable. And they're just hoping, with all hope, that they could either get him to sing or, like you said and the judge said, compose some kind of song that they can sink their teeth into. And now we know, Weissman, Andrew Weissman, who has been notoriously known and reprimanded by judges for his behavior in the courtroom, for withholding exculpatory evidence, for playing dirty tricks. I mean, I guess that's why they call him the pit bull, right? He's in trouble now, too. So,
all right. We'll see you. I got to run. We'll see you both on TV tonight. Sarah Carter, Greg Jarrett.